It is a Monday morning mailbag kind of day on a Tuesday afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Walk Off. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. And it is spring training. We are in the thick of it now, buddy. I know we were just talking before we hit record. Ricky Tiedemann is going to be on the mound this afternoon. Yosfer Zulueta is going to get some time on the mound today. You say. Getting
I've heard of
another
him.
start.
The bearded dragon.
The bearded dragon continues his dominance of spring. That is the dream here. We've got all sorts of comments to get to, so we will not waste much time. Obviously, we comb through all of your comments and questions every single week. Feel free to reach out to us. You can DM us or shoot us a message on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. You can join the Discord, shoot us a message, and we will send you a Discord link. Everybody is welcome, but we had to make an extra hoop to jump through just to try and eliminate some tomfoolery. And then you can also shoot us messages if you're a member of our Patreon. Of course, we really appreciate anyone who has joined the Patreon over the last year or two. I know we've got some long-standing members and new folks as well. So welcome everybody, and obviously Patreon gets the leg up. If you want to send a question for one of our guests or even just get on the mailbag, you get given a little bit of a priority entrance, priority.
Yeah, it's
seating.
like when you go to the airport and they're like, all right, all the people who paid an extra $20 get on the plane first.
Yeah.
Which like I
Group
don't really.
5, sit down. Group 5. Okay, let's get into it, buddy. First comment.
All right, first comment comes in from Randy Levy. And Randy Levy says, great interview. This comment on the Hag and Danner interview. Great interview, but I don't think I've ever felt older than when Hag and Danner said he was into classic rock and then name dropped Eve 6, followed by a Nickelback discussion. So,
yeah, that was a tough one for me to take too, Randy. It turns out that you think you're young and then
this was
get a reference thrown into your face. I know when Chris Beck told me he hadn't ever watched Friends, I'm like, where am I? What am
I? You know what? The only thing better than that was when you asked Hag and Danner, scale 1 to 10, his thoughts on Sopranos. He said, what's a soprano? Oh my God. So yeah,
but Haggy D is a gem, obviously, and I know that he's hopefully, fingers crossed, going to join us at the end of spring training. He said that he'd come back on the show, so he's always an interesting character to chat with, so we're looking forward to that. Yeah, so thanks for the comment, Randy.
Okay, next one came in from James, tweeted at us over the weekend. Said, hey guys, couple thoughts. Read an article that the bullpen is so deep now that we can expect trades to allow arms more work. The other, when do we start seeing players being sent to the Bisons or elsewhere?
Yeah, James reached out on Twitter there. Let's start with minor league spring training. So that is going on as we speak. I know that I kind of bounced this question off of Keegan Matheson with MLB.com yesterday, and he mentioned cuts are going to start getting made. Obviously, the term cuts is used loosely. For the most part, this Blue Jays organization kind of knows where everyone's slotting in, and this is more a chance to get some of these minor league guys some more experience playing against big leaguers and facing big league pitching. So I think those high A guys, the low A guys, the dudes who are for sure not going to start above double A are going to start being assigned to their teams and their affiliates so that they have a little bit more playing time and can concentrate on the things they're trying to concentrate at and get ready for their season. So this is going to start happening in the next, I'd say, few days to a week. We'll see guys start being assigned down to their affiliates. And then as for the depth of this bullpen, I got to agree. The depth in this bullpen is very exciting to see dudes on the outside looking in with the kind of stop of dudes like Nate Pearson and Hag and Danner and Yosfer Zulueta is very, very exciting. There are going to be some dudes pushing the guys already rostered to either perform or face the fact that they may get sent down, which is not something that we've kind of seen in this bullpen over the last couple of years. I mean, Adam, we remember 2021 where it felt like the sky was literally falling and there was nobody that they could turn to. I mean, it's why Alek Manoah wound up getting his chance in the starting rotation. Is remember, not only was the bullpen falling apart, they had injuries in the starting rotation and were trying to piece together two bullpen days out of 5. Like it was awful. So it is exciting to see that. As for trades, I don't know how you feel, buddy. I'm on the other side of this. I can see dealing from an area of strength, but we've waited so long for this sort of depth in the bullpen. I don't really want to see it moved at this point.
I mean, no, I agree with you. I mean, bullpen depth is something that'll help you all year long, right? Having half a dozen guys that throw 100. And we talked about this with Keegan Matheson yesterday. The idea of like finally having a handful of guys with that high cheddar ability. You know, it's why Nate Pearson felt so extraordinary to us, right? I mean, there's other reasons, but that was definitely a factor that set him on just that another echelon as far as expectations and stuff goes. Because it was like, holy, like he throws 100. Like, what is this? A video game?
Totally. When a guy throws 102 and you're used to seeing all your dudes top out at 97, 98, that stands out.
Yeah. So now that we got a handful of guys that can do it, it's like that Shania Twain song, right? That don't impress me much. So it's good. It's a good problem to have. Let's be honest. As far as trade material, I mean,
maybe come the deadline, depending on what they're looking for, right?
I guess. I mean, I look at it as there's only so many trades. There's only so many bullets to be fired, whatever analogy you want to go with, right? Cards to be played when it comes to the trade deadline. If we're going to be looking to add, every competitive team is going to be looking to add, whether there was a bad tacos situation or whether you just have an opportunity to upgrade at anywhere. Mm-hmm. If we don't have to worry about the bullpen, that's a good thing. Right? Like if we don't feel like, okay, well, we need to add 2 relief pitchers as well, then we can just worry about adding another starting pitcher and be like, no, we got guys. We got guys in AAA that we can call up. Like bullpen is fine, right? We can give guys time off. So that's a nice advantage, whether we end up trading those arms or we just have them as internal options. It's nice.
Hey, it's exciting that this bullpen is going to be a strength for this team. And I don't think that there's zero room for improvement. I do think that maybe at the trade deadline, going out and getting a seasoned veteran dude at the back end of the pen who has been there and done that and gone through the rigors of the playoffs and knows what big moments are all about might do a lot for this team. But just for pure stuff and the guys they've got back there right now, things look good, man. And I know that one thing Keegan Matheson yesterday mentioned that really stood out to me was the philosophical change that this organization has gone through, where they're kind of, for lack of a better term, they're going big game hunting, right? Yeah, they're going to fire more strikes, and maybe the floor isn't, this organization was always about, can we turn this guy and lower the floor, right? Like, can we get a guy who could fill in with a 4.5 ERA and get through 4 innings in a game for us? Whereas now they're a little bit more velo focused, a little bit specialty pitch focused, right? If someone's got a deadly splitter or a slider, right, or can play that high fastball, those are the sort of check points that they're after right now, and it's been good. It's been good for the depth, without a doubt, especially in the bullpen.
Wild idea here.
I like wild ideas.
I'm not at all saying we should trade away Matt Chapman. Boy, would the wheels really have to fall off for that to be a consideration. So let me just put that out there right now. But, and I don't have the list in front of me. This is something for me maybe look at heading into Friday's show. But if there is another Matt Chapman out there, maybe worth trading for and add it. I don't mean in like, oh, he's a platinum glove guy, but a guy who's like got some control left, right? He's got 2 or 3 years left of team controller. He's under contract. Might it be worth moving one of our bullpen arm guys and bringing that in so that we're not totally screwed next off season? Or is that just
something? I think that's something the organization will kind of look at. I don't think they'll move Chapman.
No, I don't think so either.
They may bring someone in as his replacement in an attempt to make the transition easier. But even that, we'll see what happens here. Anyways, we've kind of talked ourselves in a circle here, but more or less, I can't see trades happening right now anyways from some of these areas of depth in the bullpen, just because we've been snake bit so many years in a row. Like literally 2020, we were snake bit, 2021, 2022. We have moments where the bullpen's falling apart and bad tacos hit, and there isn't those guys from within to sufficiently cover the time, right? And I think we've got that this year.
All right, let's move on then. Next one comes in from Joey Rayner. Messaged you personally on Instagram, Scott, and said, thank you for the catcher versus bat catcher reference today. My dad said the same thing to me when I was a kid, and I've been correcting people for 25 years. Nice to know there are more of us out there. Thanks for the laugh.
I've never heard bat catcher before.
Oh, I've heard bat catcher. But okay, so
it's kind of like a superhero in a baseball team, right?
No, I thought it was just like kids mishearing the term back catcher.
Right.
You know, like espresso versus espresso. I thought it was just that. I thought it was like kids hear back catcher and go, oh, but baseball has bats in it. They must mean bat catcher.
Right.
The bat catcher. So then, but I don't know where back catcher came from. I thought that was a thing until yesterday, or until we talked about it. I assumed catcher was short for back catcher. Why did that ever start?
I'm not sure. Drop in the comments here, folks, if you know this little piece of baseball trivia. I do know it's definitely not back catcher. Like, that's not the proper term. It's just catcher.
He's back there catching.
But he's back there catching. I love the idea of like send off the bat catcher symbol, right? He's stealing second. Get the bat catcher.
Oh my God, Scott. No, I knew it wasn't bat catcher because that sounds dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But I thought back catcher was, I don't know. You learn something every day. But here I am calling it the MLB. I thought there was a back catcher in the MLB. So, all right. Let's move on from there. Scott commented, boys, would love a Toronto meetup. I live in London, Ontario, but my fiance and I go down to Toronto for a couple games a year. Just give us the date and we'll be there. Drinks on Adam. That's pretty cool that there's another Scott and Adam out there, and that their Adam has big bucks to generously offer to buy us drinks. So thank you to Scott's Adam.
That is something that is starting to come to fruition here. It looks like June 21 to 25, Adam and I are going to make our way to Toronto. We're going to do some live podcasts, have a bunch of you down, maybe go to some games together. I think it could be a lot of fun here. So that is in the works. We don't have things locked down, no tickets for sale yet, nothing like that. But we're pretty excited to get down to Blue Jays Nation, right in the heart of it in Toronto there, and do some podcasts and go see some games. So I know Oakland is the team that is around that weekend. and they've got the off day Thursday. So we were thinking we'd come down on the Wednesday, do a podcast on the Wednesday. They're actually playing Miami in Miami at noon. So we could do a post game type of idea, have folks down, do a listener questions right there. I think would be kind of cool. Thursday's an off day. So the team is actually flying back to Toronto Wednesday night. So the dream is, obviously, we can't guarantee any of this, but hopefully one of our contacts that we've chatted with over the last couple years, maybe a Haggy D, a Chris Beck, something like that, is with the team at the time, and we can twist some arms and see if we can get some real live Blue Jays down. Who knows? That's probably a long shot, but
yeah, maybe
that's
we could
the dream.
Maybe we could talk Hag and Danner into getting Bo Bichette to come down and join us. That's the dream.
Yeah.
All right.
So thanks for reaching out, Scott. We'll keep everyone posted as things firm up on our trip to Toronto.
I apologize for my mic levels. I can see my mic is really hot right now. I can't fix it at the best of times, so to fix it on the fly here, I'm sorry is all I can say. If I'm
and I'm probably too
into
quiet
your
now.
headphones.
Yeah, I'm too quiet.
We should have Arden's Welling on to really just cover
have
all
three different levels. Yes, man, we were doing so well for volume level. I mean, it's not like our sound has ever been amazing, but we were like really
at least the same volume for a while.
Same volume for a while there, and then frick. Anyways,
that's all right. Two bozos doing our best. All right. Next one is a Kevin Biggio topic that neither of us really want to discuss, but we're going to bring it up anyways. Discord. So Sentimental Hygiene was talking about Biggio. Very confident this is Biggio's year. And then AA Ron added, and this is a good point, Biggio hasn't looked right since 2019, 2020. But if he can return to that 110, 120 OPS plus, that would just be perfect.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit with Keegan Matheson too, and he brought up a really good point, which is the organization, despite the fan base, still has a lot of confidence in Kevin. He has struggled and hasn't looked right since 2019, 2020. I think the experiment of moving him to third base in 2021 really messed with him, and then he continued to take hot shots off the fingers and the arms and was all bruised up and broke a finger at a point and had hip problems and health problems, couldn't stay on the field. His swing was off. But the truth is, and I mean, Adam and I have talked about this pretty regularly, this is his last chance, right? I mean, if he doesn't pull it together for 2023, Kevin Biggio is not a member of this organization going forward, is he?
Not unless it's in like a managerial role.
Can he join the coaching staff? I mean, Ron AA Ron, whatever his name is in Discord, there brought up a pretty good point about the fact that if he can do what we saw in 2019 and 2020, there is a spot as a utility player on this team for him. He's very versatile. This is something every Blue Jays fan has heard ad nauseum since he joined this team. One of his biggest strengths is the fact that he can play all over the diamond. However, if he's not getting on base, if that OBP isn't above 350, I'd rather see Addison Barger get the at-bats. I'd rather see Otto Lopez or Spencer Horwitz or somebody like that who there's still a question mark as to where their ceiling is. You know, we kind of know who Biggio is, and at his best, he is that 120 plus OPS, gets on base a lot, not a lot of power, good at base running. You know, you want that in your lineup. But as soon as that OBP isn't there anymore, man, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I say player coach. Let's get him into a manager's role. Let's get him in a matching costume with John Schneider. And he's got it between the ears, Scott. He's got it between the ears, is what I'm saying.
He can put on his bat mask and he's the bat catcher.
Shut up. All right. Kevin Biggio for bat catcher. All right. Next one's a fun one. Comes in from Rebecca on Instagram this morning. She says she was just listening to the David Sampson podcast, and he was talking about World Baseball Classic and Team Japan. So, long story short, here's the question. Who's the best baseball player in Japan's history? Shohei Otani or Ichiro?
I mean, I don't think this is even a debate personally. And I love Shohei Otani. But if you're picking anyone other than Ichiro Suzuki to represent as the number one baseball player to ever come out of Japan, I don't know where you're getting your stats or your thought process. Like,
well, I'm with you for sure. It's a landslide Ichiro. The only way, I'm interested to see us get torched in the comments, but like recency bias has to be the only reason someone would pick Shohei Otani. Or if you're young and never saw Ichiro play and you're just like, oh, that's Babe Ruth. Ugh. Not that he's Babe Ruth, maybe Ty Cobb's a better comparison. The numbers on Ichiro in the MLB are insane. And then when you consider the fact that he was a late addition to the MLB, MLB.
He didn't join Major League Baseball until 27 years old. He had already literally dominated the Japanese league for like 7 years before he made the transition to Seattle. The dude everyone talks about Shohei Otani being a unicorn, and he is, and he's incredible. And Shohei being able to pitch and hit to the level that he does, we've never seen in baseball. But Ichiro went out and did it for, 20 plus years. Until Shohei's been playing Major League Baseball for 10 years, I don't even think that this is a conversation people should be having. But
yeah, if you can do it again for another 10 years, then we can have that talk.
Prove us wrong in the comments. Like, make me feel like an idiot. I'm all for it. I'm always open to other opinions. I just don't know how you can possibly spin this that Shohei ranks above Ichiro at this point in his career.
So Ichiro played technically 19 years in Major League Baseball. Did you know he was 45 when he retired?
Yeah, right.
2 games in 2019 as a 45-year-old, 15 games in 2018, but before that, 136, 143. So yeah. I'm going to just say he played 17 years and has a career WAR of 60. Shohei Otani has played 5 years and has a career WAR of 24.8. I'm not a big WAR guy, but if I was to steel man that argument and try and make the argument that Shohei Otani is the better player, that's, I guess, where I would start. Is I would say he's played for 30% of the time that Ichiro played in MLB and already has a WAR almost half for his career. So, but again, we're talking 5 years versus 17. So if he can do it for another 12 years, that's where I'll
really entertain the conversation if he can do it for another 5 years.
4 years? Would you go 4 years? If you could do it for 4 years? All right.
Okay. Next comment.
All right. Moving on. All right. Next one comes in from Dulcimerist. Says, did you see the outfield shenanigans the Red Sox did against Joey Gallo in spring training to bypass the shift ban? And then also talks about Max Scherzer shenanigans on the mound, the quick pitching and manipulating the clock and stuff. So we could talk all that stuff. Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, so I didn't see the shift. If you want to break that down for us, Adam, for those who didn't watch it live or see the clip.
Well, it was basically left fielder stood in dead center. Center fielder went and played right field. And then the right fielder moved in 50 feet and played rover. So it was, essentially the same effect as what people have been doing with the shift. Instead of moving your third base over to short, your short over to second, and your second into shallow right field, it was done in the outfield instead.
And we talked a little bit about this with Keegan as well, right? Just the fact that all these rule changes come into effect and you're expecting major changes to the game and the way these teams set up and the game plan. And really, like, there's just a slight tweak, right? Like, they're still playing within the rules, and like the left fielder's not going to cross center, and center fielder still plays in the field, but then they can still bring that guy right up to where they used to stick the shortstop, right? Like, it's really interesting to see these teams and what they're doing to circumvent these new rules and still continue to play very similar to we saw baseball in 2022. And as for the pitch clock, man, I love the gamesmanship that is going on with it. I know we saw a little peek from Chris Bassett, but who we're really watching using this pitch clock to their advantage are the old wily guys, right? The Max Scherzers of the world. Chris Bassett falls into that group, but it is kind of cool and interesting. I don't know if any of you have missed the Max Scherzer highlights, do yourself a favor, just go on YouTube real quick and look it up, because it is pretty fun to watch. What he's doing is he's literally forcing these hitters to use their one time out, and then he can literally engage with the rubber, and then he can just sit there and wait for 15 seconds, or he can quick pitch out of nowhere. So it's like adding this extra level of strategy, I guess, is the best way of putting it, to this pitcher batter battle we've watched in baseball since the beginning of the game. And it's just adding another wrinkle. I'm loving it. I know that there's some hiccups within the pitch clock, and there are some things that need to be massaged and probably figured out. And I think as the players get more accustomed to it, that's going to happen. But man, oh man, watching Max Scherzer play with that pitch clock, very fun.
How much of this, okay, because you love what he's doing, the gamesmanship of it, right? I love it too. But how much of this is influenced by
spring training, just fooling around, figuring it out?
No. How much of our love for what he's doing is influenced by his reputation? Because it's Max Scherzer. He has two eyes that don't match in color. I don't know if anybody didn't recognize that or not, but it freaks me out every time I see him. He's like a husky. It's weird. Yeah. But because he's doing it, it feels like, oh, this is like brilliant. Mm-hmm. But if Tyler Chatwood was the one doing this, would we be like, oh, look at this, like gimmicky desperation, guys really trying to, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
If Ricky Tiedemann was doing this in spring training, I feel like we'd be upset. We'd be like, dude, just fucking pitch. Excuse my language. We'd be like, just cut it out. Like, quit messing around. Just pitch. Am I wrong?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, for me as a Jays fan, if Ricky was doing it, I'd probably love it. But I don't know.
Well, if he starts doing it now, I'd be cool with it. I'd be like, wow, he's seeing what Max Scherzer's doing and emulating one of the best in baseball. Mm-hmm. Love it. But if he invented it, I'd be like, just worry about getting guys out. Don't get tricky with it, Ricky.
No, it's a good point. And maybe you're right. Just seeing the old wily veterans doing it, it warms your heart, right? The cockles of your heart. Whereas like the young kids, you're like, you heard it first, kiddo.
Exactly. All right. Just one last thought on the outfield shenanigans. I don't know. I was watching the Matt Antonelli YouTube channel. Former first round draft pick, really insightful YouTube channel for anybody that doesn't or isn't aware of it. Go check out Matt Antonelli's page. But he had a good breakdown of that Joey Gallo shift, and he brought up the heat maps from defensive alignments on Joey Gallo, which I didn't know was a thing you could even look up, but of course it is. Just like the strike zone, right? And it's all like the red when that's the most often, and then it gets bluer as it's like less frequently or whatever, right? And it was just amazing to me because he pulled up Joey Gallo, and then he pulled up think Yordan Alvarez as a comparable for another guy that gets shifted a lot. And, is this shift going to be exclusively for Joey Gallo or for other pull hitters and stuff? Anyways, just the defensive alignment heat map, because it's just like a picture of the ball field and then has where every player was positioned every time Joey Gallo was batting, right? And that's how you can look. Just the tightness of those locations was kind of a, I don't know if an eye opener or reminder, but just of like how deep analytics has gotten, where Joey Gallo can have 500 at bats, and 99% of the time, every outfielder is standing in the exact same spot relative to home plate for 29 teams that faced him. Like, the analytics are just there, where they're like, mathematically, the algorithm says stand exactly here. This is your best spot to be against this hitter. So, kind of cool, and also
it is
kind of a bummer. I don't know, man. It's like,
no, I agree, man. It's wild what technology is doing in every aspect of the world these days. It's crazy.
I watched a Christian Yelich interview on the Pat McAfee show. Christian Yelich was talking about how probably there's 2 or 3 games a year where nothing is hit to him. So he's like just a spectator standing in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a funny kind of an interview, but he's like probably 10 or 15 games a year, whatever number he pulled out. He's like, no one in the outfield has any play to make. It's like either it's just an infield hit or a ground ball. Like, there's no plays to be made.
Yeah.
And he talked about the cards in your pocket, right? He's like, just every game you get a new card, and it goes based on lefty or righty pitching, and for their starting lineup or their batting order, here's where you're going to stand for every guy. So he's like, anybody in the stands watching could have done what I did today, especially when he goes 0 for 4, but that's another that's another point. Anyways, analytics, wild stuff. All right, one more, and then we'll get out of here. At Weird Beards says, can the batters see the pitch clock after they step in? Hated the idea at first, but anyways, goes on to just talk about the pitch clock. They're on the fence about it still. That's a good question. I don't know if batters can see the pitch clock. Do you know the
answer? I don't know the answer. I would love if there is someone that is in spring training right now in Dunedin who has been to a few of these games and can answer that question. Where is the pitch clock relative to the batter?
I have to, if I had to guess, I would just assume it's on the scoreboard in center field. Yeah. Right? Because you would have to, they're just right next to where they're tracking balls and strikes, I would assume. There would just
for those of you who don't know, the rule is the batter must be in the batter's box ready to hit with 8 seconds left on the pitch clock. So the pitch clock starts as soon as that pitcher puts his foot on the rubber, engages, right, is what they call it. And then 7 seconds later, the batter must be ready to go, or it's called a strike against him. So you would think they have to see the clock, right?
Hold on. The pitch clock starts as soon as the pitcher receives the ball from the catcher.
And engages on the rubber, right? Or
no, like it's
disengage.
Well, as soon as the ball, catcher throws the ball back, that's where the back catcher comes from. He catches it, he throws it back. Anyway, as soon as the pitcher gets it, that's when the pitch clock starts.
Right. Okay.
Because otherwise, you would just have the same problem of pitchers just messing around,
never
kicking
engaging.
their dirt, and it'd be like it wouldn't speed up the game at all. So I think that is the start of the timer.
But once his foot touches that rubber, it can't come off of it, or it counts against him. Yeah.
One of his 3 disengagements, and if he does it a third time, it's a balk. So, okay, Dunedin Bob, answer this for us, because I know you're down in
that's right.
Dunedin. You're at all the games in your SpaceX T-shirt and your $15 beers at the WestJet patio there. So let us know what's the pitch clock look for the batters out there in the outfield.
I know Coach Keith is down there too. He's actually leaving today.
Right.
He was messaging us about trivia night, which is going to be moved once again. But
yeah, let's just address this for anybody that's not on Patreon or doesn't see their messages on Patreon. I am going to be DMing everyone on Patreon right now. I'll also mention in the Discord, trivia night is getting pushed to the end of the month. So it is supposed to be the last Tuesday of every month. We had scheduling issues this past Tuesday with us being in Fort Mac.
Screwing us slightly. First, your daughter makes the hockey playoffs, so we can't do long toss. Then she's got to go and figure out which junior high she's going to.
So, yeah, that's the problem tonight is we have an open house for a junior high. I got to go be the dad, do all that stuff. So, unfortunately, it's right at the same time. There's just no way around it. So, I figure what's going to be simplest for everyone.
Some of our listeners always say, you know what, you being a dad matters more. I'm not one of those people, but we have very sympathetic listeners.
All right, love you too, Scott. I do appreciate it and the support. But yeah, so March 28th, the end of the month, the final Tuesday of the month, we are going to do a double trivia night. It's only like a half hour to 45 minutes to blast through trivia night. So it'll be like an hour to an hour and a half. We'll do Moneyball as we agreed to, and then we'll also do March's trivia night, which will be yet to be decided. There will be a poll up in the Patreon, so you can go vote there for the second one. But there'll be prizes. We'll run them separately, so whoever wins the Moneyball trivia will get a prize, and then we'll start the next one. There'll be 2 prizes at the end of the month. That's it for trivia.
That's right. And to be involved in that, all you got to do is join the Walk-Off Patreon. Of course, that's always very much appreciated. Honestly, everyone within this walk-off community, it always blows my mind how interactive everyone is and what a big part of, well, just our life this has become. So it's very, very cool. And we really appreciate all of you. You can always shoot us a message, DM us to get on Mailbag. You can do so by shooting us a message on Instagram, the Walk-Off Podcast, or Twitter at Walk-Off Podcast. Join the Discord, shoot us a message, and we'll shoot you a link. Or you can always join the Patreon. Again, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Bye, Dad.